Apps can do a lot of cool things. You could order dinner, gamble on your favorite team, and track your health. You could even get a mortgage. One click and you can be approved. I'm not sure by who or what country they're in. You deserve more from the mortgage industry. At AnyMac Home Mortgage, we believe in the need for live human interaction during a very complex process. The kind of service and guidance which an app simply can't provide. Our customers are more than credit scores and income documents. They're individuals and families who live in and strengthen our communities. Their story is our story, and that story begins in a home. Chris Sawyer is an expert on providing superior customer service and in meeting the mortgage needs of current and future homebuyers. With over 18 years of experience in the industry, Chris is able to help customers migrate through the home buying and home financing process by using his wealth of knowledge as a well-qualified mortgage professional. And best of all, Chris is located in Cromwell, Connecticut, where he has helped hundreds of clients in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island make their dreams of homeownership a reality. Visit chrissawyer.any-mac.com. Email him at csawyer@any-mac.com or give him a call, 860-878-8730.
Chris Sawyer, NMLS number 39345, corporate NMLS number 338923. AnyMac Home Mortgage is an equal housing lender. American Neighborhood Mortgage Acceptance Company, LLC, DBA AnyMac Home Mortgage. Go-Fi Direct. Connecticut First Mortgage Correspondent, License Lender, Broker Number ML 338923. Massachusetts Mortgage Lender and Mortgage Broker License Number MC 338923. Rhode Island License Lender, License Number 201128110L. Call for additional details.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and we have a pivotal Game 3 between the Royals and Yankees in the ALDS. Yankees winning Game 1 6-5, and the Yankees got off to a really good start. Rendon got off to a really good start in Game 2, but then the Royals came back, scored 4 runs in the fourth inning, and won that game 4-2 over the Yankees. So the series is tied 1-1. The big question is for the Yankees is, do they have the edge in this series right now? Do they have the edge? And I'll start, and I think they do. I know some people might not think so, but I think they do. I think the biggest reason why is I think they got the better lineup. I think eventually Judge and Stanton are going to start hitting, and I think they got the better. I think they got the better bullpen. Royals, I think a little bit of a better rotation. But here's the thing: there has not been a Royal starter that's gone more than 5 innings. Even Reagan's on Monday night, he didn't go more than 4 innings. So right now, for me, I'm going to go with the Yankees. And Bobby Witt Jr. hasn't hit either. So I do think the Yankees have the edge in the series right now. Justin, do you agree?
No, I get the Royals right now.
Ooh.
I did not like the way Game 2 went down. Game 1, they survived. And the Royals now have home field advantage. And Seth Lugo's pitched pretty well against the Yankees in his career. And I don't totally trust Clark Schmidt. And you get to a Game 5, I don't really trust Carlos Rodon in that spot either. So I kind of like the Royals right now that they get to play at home. And I hate to say it about Judge. He's not hitting the postseason. I think he's struck out now like close to 40% of his postseason at bats. He's not producing the postseason. So I hope he can do it, but I'm kind of a little worried that, he won't get it going.
That's a really good point about Aaron Judge. And even in Game 1, second and third, nobody out, strikes out. Game 2, same thing, first and second, right? Don't strikes out the side. Everything's going well. You're ready to, pretty much put the Royals away. Have a big inning, 3-4 run inning. Pretty much put the Royals away. He strikes out, and then they don't score a run in that inning. So yeah, you're right about Judge. He just has not been hitting in the postseason. And you're right. If this doesn't pick up, you could be very, very. You could be right. The Yankees could have another first round exit again. Yeah,
they totally could, and especially the way things broke out with the Astros and Baltimore losing it. And now you got 3 AL Central teams in. It'd be pretty embarrassing if the Yankees, if they cannot get to a World Series this year. It set up beautifully for them, and if they don't get there this year, there's gonna be a lot of questions asked in that clubhouse.
Oh, if they don't, Boone's got to be fired. Boone has got to be fired. If they don't get to the World Series, Boone's got to be fired because you used to look at Game 2. They Cole Reagan's on after 4 innings, and the team didn't hit at all. And they didn't look like they really were competing. It just didn't look like they had that juice to them in Game 2.
No, it didn't, And, you mentioned the Judge at bat. The first inning, Reagan walks the first 2 guys. And, it's like Judge just put the ball in play, and he can't even do that. And, Stan's had a rough postseason, the lineup just – it didn't have, like, the fire juice to him the other night. And Then the Royals got on Rendon, and they were kind of playing from behind all night. And, and then, the lineup kind of struggled. I know Chisholm hit the home run there in the ninth inning, but didn't really do much. So, kind of worried about this lineup. And, they've left, I think, 18 guys on, I think, through the first 2 games. Like, that's what they've done the last 7 years in the postseason. They just can never knock guys in for whatever reason. They, that's been their Achilles heel.
It has been, and now we go to what do the Yankees have to do to win the series? And they got they hit. Give them credit; they hit in Game 1. Torres had the big 2-run homer. You got the big base hit from Verdugo in the 7th. Austin Wells in the 6th. So they did hit in Game 1. You got to give them credit for hitting in Game 1, but Game 2 they didn't hit at all. So the bat's got to be consistent. It starts with Judge and Stanton. Judge and Stanton have not hit in the series so far. The bat Soto had a really good Game 1. Didn't have that good of a game. Didn't have a good Game 2, but. Yeah, they got to hit. They got to start hitting. And number 2 for me, starting pitching has got to be better. Garrett Cole, even though they won, he didn't pitch that well in Game 1. Carlos Rendon, he pitched great for 3 innings, but he was terrible in the 4th inning and got pulled from the game. So they got to get good starting pitching. Those two things got to happen. And the bullpen just got to continue to do what they've been doing really over the last month and a half of the season. I like the fact there's defined roles in this bullpen. Holmes for the 7th. Canley for the 8th, and then Luke Weaver for the 9th. So I like that there's defined roles in the bullpen. But those things got to happen, or it's going to be another early exit for the Yankees.
Yeah. For me, it's Judge and Stanton. They got to get going. Those 2 guys. They got to start. I know Stanton's had some postseason success over the years. Judge is 204 as a postseason hitter. He's striking out, I think, 75 times so far, 2 as in the postseason in his career. So, he's got to get it going. They need the middle of that order to produce. And secondly, what I mentioned a couple of minutes ago, having all the runners, 18 left so far in the series, you're not going to beat anybody by doing that. You got to knock these guys in. I know, just again, it's a single the other way, let sack fly, like do something. They have to knock guys in. It's every year in the postseason. They cannot. They always strand runners, especially in big spots, and that's what's always hurt them. So those 2 things, Judge Stanton and knocking guys in with runners on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Runners in scoring position has been big because you saw it in Game 2. 2 guys on, they couldn't get the job done in the 1st inning. Then you even saw it, they could have broke the game open in the 3rd inning of Game 2 too. So hitting with runners in scoring position, that's been huge. That's been huge for this. That's been huge for this team. And this offense has been the strength of this team all year. It's got to be the strength of this team now. We've seen this offense be good year in, year out during the regular season. When it gets to the postseason, they always struggle. But also, the pitching's got to do their part as well. Their pitching's got to do their part as well. It didn't in Game 2. It really didn't in Game 1 where the offense bailed them out. But it comes down to the offense and the pitching because I do think they got things stabilized in the bullpen.
Yeah. The bullpen's pitched pretty well so far, which you'll like. But now it's the starting pitching. Like I understand why Boone's going with a Schmidt who's pitched in the postseason instead of healing this spot, but what are you going to get out of Schmidt? He hasn't pitched since September 27th. So, he's a guy that really only goes 5 innings. He really doesn't go much longer than that. So, they're going to need their bullpen probably tonight to get them 12 to 15 outs again. Or, 15 outs. 12 to 15 outs in this one. So, you're going to need your bullpen to probably pitch pretty well again against a guy in Seth Lugo that has a good track record against the Yankees.
He does. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game tonight. And now your prediction for the series. I still think the Yankees do split here, and I think they end up winning it in Game 5. I do think they win. I still think they win the American League. I really do. I'm still because this is the American League is not that strong, and I feel like they have to get there. I do think they win the AL, so I'm going to go the Yankees. I still am going to go with the Yankees in 5. I'm still going Yankees in 5 in this series.
I'm taking Royals in 5. I don't trust them going. I don't trust them going in Game 5. I just don't. I can't. Yeah, he was way too amped up on Monday night. Game 5 with him, I would think for the Royals it's going to be Brady Singer, but like for the Royals, they got nothing to lose in that game, and I think the Royals will knock them off. I've seen this story way too many times. The Yankees over the postseason, they'll find a way to lose it, and I think losing Game 2 really, really hurts. And I don't think they win tonight because Seth Lugo does not walk guys and he doesn't give up home runs. So I think the Yankees offense struggles tonight. Cole bails them out in Game 4, but I think Singer gets it done in Game 5.
Wow. So you got him losing. So if that is the case, we know Boone is gone. Is Cashman gone? Seeing that he didn't go out,
There's no way.
you don't think you
No
think
way.
Cashman? You think Cashman stays?
He's got a job for life. I can't see it.
Yeah. I think he stays. But I do think if they don't get the World Series, they got to fire Aaron Boone. They have to. The pressure is because it's been 7 years. 7 years as a Yankee manager, you don't get to a World Series. That's a problem because you remember Joe Torre. He got them to 6 World Series, won 4 championships. Girardi, he only got to 1 World Series, but at least he won a championship. Aaron Boone, 7th year, and this has been a Yankee team that's been knocking on the door every single year. It's been a team that has been a contender every single year. And if they don't get to the World Series this year, this would be the 7th year where they're a contender to get to the World Series and they don't do it. It has got to result in the manager getting fired.
Yeah, I completely agree because Judge ain't getting any younger. He's 32 now. And Cole, too, is 32, 33. Like, it's not, you hope you have Soto, for the future, and he's still 25. But, like, even Stan's an older guy. You have a lot of older guys that are kind of getting out of their prime. So you got to take advantage rather soon than later. And this is the perfect year to do it with 3 other AL Central teams. But, yeah, I just don't trust this team to take advantage of that. And, yeah, Boone would have to be gone. But again, it's just going to be another puppet. So I don't think much will change.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're probably right about that. But let's just hope they win this series and the next one and get to the World Series and hopefully win. Hopefully, win their first get to their first World Series in 15 years and then win it. So big game 3 tonight. I think it's a big, really big game 3 tonight in Kansas City between the Yankees and the Royals. But we'll move on to the other series between the Guardians and the Tigers. Guardians win game 1 behind that 5-run first inning. They had that a 3-run home run by Lance Thomas, and then Tariq Skubal is proving why he should clearly be the AL Cy Young Award winner. Had an outstanding performance. Just pitched 7 shutout innings to carry the Tigers to a 3-0 win. Kelly Carpenter. I don't get why this guy's not playing every day. Kerry Carpenter gets that big 3-run homer for the Tigers. Evens this series, and now you got a game 3 that's starting in about 30 minutes. You got a game 3 at Comerica Park in Detroit, and we'll start with the Guardians. What do they got to do first we'll start with who has the edge in the series, and I'm going to go with the Guardians. I just think they're clearly the better team, better lineup, better bullpen, better rotation. They're pretty much better everywhere. Outside of Tariq Skubal, they don't have an ace like Skubal. The Guardians are better everywhere, so I'm going to go with the Guardians.
I'm going to take Detroit as well here in this one.
Wow.
If Detroit can get out here with a sweep, Skubal is going game 5. And I think I'd feel pretty good about Detroit.
You mean a split?
Yeah, if they can get the split here in Detroit. Yeah, if they can get the split at home, game 5 would be Tariq Skubal on the mound. So I'd feel pretty good about Detroit's chances that they could get to a game 5 here. So I think Detroit right now has got the edge because Skubal could go into game 5.
So what do both these teams need to do to win this series? And I'll start with the Guardians. And they got to hit like they did in game 1. They came out red hot in game 1. Ramirez RBI double, Naylor RBI single, and then Lance Thomas 3-run homer. They got to come out fast out of the gates like they did in game 1. And their bullpen just got to. I know Class A gave up that 3-run homer to Carpenter, but yeah, the bullpen's got to keep being good, and the starting pitching got to give them a little more length. I know they've been pitching less than 5 innings. The starter's got to give them a little more length. But I think if they hit and the bullpen is what they've been all year long, I really don't see the Guardians having a problem winning the series because the Tigers, really, they have one pitcher and they've been pitching a lot of bullpen games. And offensively, they're definitely the worst offensive team in the playoffs.
Yeah. For me, but the Guardians here to finish this thing off, the middle lineup. Yeah, I know Thomas had the big home run in game 1. Ramirez has kind of got off to a slow start here the first couple games. Josh Nail as well. So really, that lineup there has got to score because they didn't do any damage in game 2 against Skubal. And they did most of their damage early in game 1. So the line's going. Number 2 for them is number 2 for Cleveland is the starting pitching too. I know they have Cobb on the mound. He hasn't pitched in about a month. But he's a good ground ball pitcher, which should help in this, which helps in the playoffs to have a guy like that, veteran guy. But and then tomorrow they have Tanner Beebe who pitched well in game 1 of the series. So yeah, they need the starting pitcher to pitch well the next couple of games. And then the bullpen Clase has been so good this year that, hopefully it's just a blimp on the radar. He just did not have his stuff, didn't look sharp pretty much from the beginning of that outing. So I do expect, their bullpen to figure it out. And, they pitched well outside that one, ninth inning with Clase.
Yeah, pretty much. Their bullpen's been fine. And for the series prediction, I'm going to go with the Guardians here. I think they win the 2 games in Detroit. I just think they're clearly the better team. I think the Tigers are the worst team in the postseason because really outside of Skubal, they have a below-average lineup. I know their bullpen's pretty good, and their rotation is not good behind him. So I'm going to go with the Guardians here. I think the Guardians win it because it kind of felt like when the series was happening that the Tigers would win the Skubal start. But I'm going to go with the Guardians in 4 here. I got the Guardians heading to the ALCS facing the Yankees, so I got the Guardians here.
I got Detroit in 5. I think.
Wow.
I think Detroit finds a way to manage to get one at home here, and then Game 5 with Tarek Skubal. I expect him to pitch outstanding and lead Detroit to victory, and then a Kansas City Detroit ALCS, which I can't imagine anybody saw coming in March.
No, not at all. Nobody saw a Royal Tiger ALCS. So now moving on to the National League, and how about those Mets? Oh my God! I mean, you look at the game against the Brewers. You thought they were done against the Brewers, and then Alonso hits the 3-run homer down against the Phillies 1-0, and then Vientos has a big hit. Brendan Nimmo has a big hit. They win that game. They win that game 6-2, and then they very easily could have won. This series could very easily be over. They very easily could have won. They very easily could have won Game 2. They had a 4-3 lead in the 8th. Bryson Stott hit that triple. But Vientos again hits that big 2-run homer, but then Castellanos wins it with a single. And then yesterday they dominate. Manaea was great. Alonso getting things going. Winker gets a big hit from Iglesias. So the Mets are playing great baseball right now, up 2-1 on the Phillies. And the big question is what do the Mets got to do to close it out tonight? Continue to hit the way they've been hitting. They've been getting contributions all throughout this lineup. Alonso, Vientos, Nimmo, Iglesias yesterday. Throughout the entire lineup, this team is getting contributions. So if they continue to hit like they do, I think they got a really good chance. The pitching just continues to continue to pitch well. Quintana pitched really well in Game 3 against Milwaukee. So, and we've had a pretty good start from Severino. Might have kept him in too long against the Phillies when he gave up those back-to-back home runs to Harper and Castellanos. And then but you had a good start. But you had a really good start from Manaea. I think it'll be a good start from Quintana. And I think if the Mets get that going, and maybe a little bit better in the bullpen, they might have to close out a game. That's been the Achilles heel in this postseason. They had a 4-3 lead against Milwaukee. They had a 3-2 lead against Milwaukee. They lost. 4-3 lead against the Phillies. They lost. So that's been the Achilles heel. It's been the Achilles heel all year of the Mets. Has been their bullpen, even though it's got a little bit better as the season's going on. So if the Mets do those 3 things, I think they are headed to the NLCS for the first time since 2015.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the Mets right now, Jose Quintana, in 5 of his last 7 outings has not allowed a run. So he's been outstanding of late here. And going up against Ranger Suarez here, who in his last outing couldn't even, only went 2 innings against the Nationals. He gave up 6 runs. The start before that, he went 5 innings against the Mets, only gave up 2 runs. So, if they could get to him early, because you mentioned it, 1 through 9. That was another one of my keys. 1 through 9 contributions. Marte 2, Winker has had some big hits in this series as well, or so far in the postseason as well. So, their lineup 1 through 9 has been really good, and it is on a roll. And then my final key tonight is just get to a lead early, because that City Field was, the energy of that building was
electric. That place was electric. Yesterday. Yeah, that place was electric.
It was. So they get out to an early lead today. It's going to spell problems for Philly. So, if they do that, they jump on them again. I think the Mets will definitely be headed to the NLCS. Starting probably next week or
Sunday.
End of the weekend.
Sunday. Yeah, it starts on Sunday. So so for the Phillies though, down 2-1, were one of the best teams in the National League all season. Funny, when they were the wild card team, they were able to play well in the division series, but now as the division winner, they haven't been able to play as well. So, I do think the big key for the Phillies is they need guys to hit. They need Turner to start hitting. They need Bowman to start hitting. They need Real Muto to start hitting. They need other guys outside of Harper and Castellanos in this lineup to start hitting. They need those guys because they scored 2 runs, and pretty much in that game 1, it was disappointing. To lose that Zach Wheeler game. Pretty much stat on 1 run pretty much all game long, where they should have, with Singa being out of the game early, they should have been able to win that game, win game 1. and put that game away before the 8th inning. And then last night only scoring 2 runs. So Phillies, they got to start hitting. And if they don't, they're going to be going home. So they got to start hitting. And then number 2, they need a really good start from Ranger Suarez because Nola didn't pitch that well last night. They need a good start from Ranger Suarez because you could forget it with this bullpen. You know what the Phillies have killed, why they didn't win 100 games this year. You know why their bullpen is garbage. Had the lead, in the 8th inning, gave that up. The lead in the 9th inning of game 2, which they won, they gave that up. So it's got to come down to starting pitching and offense for this team to get to the NLCS for the third year in a row.
Yeah, for me too. I got the Phillies. They got to get the bats going early today. Got to try to silence that crowd early on in this one. They need guys 1 through 9 in that line to contribute in this one. Yeah, number 2 for me was the bullpen as well here. It's been bad, and was kind of the big question mark going into the postseason with them, and kind of the question mark most of the year was, who's gonna, could this bullpen get big outs to the postseason? And so far, the first couple games, they have not been able to do that, and they can't do it again. Obviously, they'll be going home, and then they need Suarez tonight to pitch really well, go deep, because they did not get a great start from Nola yesterday, so they need Suarez to pitch really well today and hopefully give you like 5-6 innings.
Yeah, he's got it. Yeah, Suarez has got to have a big start. Suarez got a big start. They're going home. Suarez has got to get it done. He's had a decent season. He's got to get it done. Ranger Suarez has got to get it done tonight, or the Phillies are going home. But we got the final National League Series, and that is between the Padres and the Dodgers. This has been a crazy series. Game 1, 7-5. The Padres are up early, and the Dodgers trying to hit that 3-run home run to tie the game. The Dodgers end up winning that one 7-5. And then game 2, Padres crushed them. And the Dodger fans didn't like that too much because they were throwing things at the Padre players, so the Dodgers did not like that too much. And then last night, that 6-run second inning by the Padres, that big home run by Tatis to cap that off. Teoscar had the grand slam, but the Padres end up winning the game. And we'll start with the Dodgers here. What do they got to do to extend the series? What do they got to do to not lose in the division series for the 3rd year in a row? Because you remember the Padres beat them 2 years ago in the first round. Last year they got swept to the Diamondbacks, and now they're in a game. They're facing elimination again against the Padres. And first and foremost, they need to find a way to keep the Padres off the scoreboard because they're doing a bullpen game. You talked about it with the Dodger pitching. It was not good at the end of the year, and it showed up in the postseason. Flaherty was garbage. Buehler was not good. Even Yamamoto wasn't that good. Yamamoto wasn't that good in game 1. So they got to keep the Padres off the board. Padres have scored 5, 10, and 6 in this series. They got to find a way to keep the Padres off the scoreboard. No matter who they throw in that bullpen, they got to keep the Padres off the board. And then number 2, they got to get more production at the bottom of the order. They got to get more production. They're getting some production from Ohtani, from Betts. They're getting production from those guys, but they need Teoscar Hernandez with the grand slam last night. But they got to get more production from the bottom of the order because if they don't do those things, the way the Padres are hitting right now, they're going to lose to the Padres for the 2nd time in 3 years and in the NLDS for the 3rd year in a row.
Yeah. I have for the Dodgers as well here. Yeah, the Betts in that line's got to get going. I know Betts finally snapped like an 0 for 24 in the postseason. That home run he hit last night, but he's not hit well so far. Of late in the postseason, they need him to get going. And Freddie Freeman's kind of banged up. So like, what can you get production wise out of him? You can see he's playing through an ankle injury right now. So that Dodger bull, because you're right. The only way that Dodgers can win this series right now is a slugfest, and you kind of figured it was going to be like that. It was 6-5 in the 3rd inning. You figured it was going to be a 12-10 game, but nobody else could get anything going after the 3rd inning. And then number 2, they got to get the bullpen guys. Yeah, you mentioned Landon Knack to be the opener. I don't know if they're going to pitch this guy in a big spot, but the Connecticut Ben Capers from Norwalk is in the bullpen who could probably give him length. I don't know if they put him in it. Or in a game 4 with the season on the line, that would be a tough spot. But they need their bullpen to really give them a strong outing today, and hopefully get it back to game 5 in LA.
Yeah, oh yeah, they have to. The bullpen, it's got to be. If they don't, it's over. It's over. So yeah, strong outing has got to happen, and they got to hit through the lineup. You see the Padre lineup; they hit. The Padre lineup hits. You know, you got guys like Merle, and you got guys like Tatis has been ridiculous. Tatis has been outstanding in this series. He's been phenomenal. Even yeah, he's been so good. Even the first series, he set the tone in the postseason for the Padres, hitting that 2-run homer against the Braves. So yeah, Tatis has been great. You know, all series long. So yeah, Tatis has just got to keep hitting. Tatis has got to keep hitting the way he is. This Padre lineup, Jackson Merle, you know, just this Padre lineup just got to just continue. Because you get that big home run in game 2, Jackson Merle. So Padre lineup just continues to hit, and there's a very, very good chance of them beating the Dodgers for the second time in 3 games. So now for the series prediction, and this is one's going to surprise you a little bit. I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I think they're going to hit their way through this game, and I think they're going to win a game 5. I do think they're going to win a game 5 on their home field, because I got the Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series, so I got to stick with it. And I think they're going to win I think they're going to win it. They're going to come back and win this thing in 5. But Justin, here's the other thing I don't like what the Padres doing. I don't like the pitching Dylan Cease on short rest. I really don't like that. I know the rotation. I know with the loss of Musgrove that screws things up a little bit, but I don't love the fact they're throwing Dylan Cease on short. I know it does open. Here's the other thing: it does open things up for Darvish in Game 5, but I think the Dodgers are just too talented to go down in 4 games at this point. I am taking the Dodgers in 5. Justin, it looks like you disagree.
Yeah, I do. I got the Padres here in 4. I know Cease was not good in his last outing. But again, I just don't trust the Dodgers' arms. And I think, as you mentioned, I think the Padres outslug them tonight. Outside of Knack, like, who can give them innings, like I mentioned Caprice, but like I don't know if they're going to. I don't think you can throw a rookie in that spot. Maybe they do because they have nothing left, but it'd be a tough spot. So I get the Padres, like them and the Mets right now. They're just they're going to meet, and one of those teams are those 2 teams right now have a lot of mojo going for them, and I think it continues. This Dodgers team just banged up, and they just don't have the arms right now, and I just don't see them getting past this Padres team right now. It's just playing really good baseball.
Yeah. So the way you have it with the Royals and the Tigers and the Padres and the Mets, you have all the teams that played in the wild card round in it, and that's been a trend, because 3 of the 4 teams in the ALCS in 2022, or no, two of the four were teams that played in the wild card round in 2022, and then because it was Astros, Yankees, and Phillies, Padres, and then last year 3 of the 4 teams that played in the wild card round. 3 of the 4 made it to the ALCS, because it was the only team was the Astros last year, because it was Astros, Rangers, and then and it was Astros, Rangers, and Phillies, Diamondbacks. So the wild card teams have won more since they've went to this new format. The wild card teams have won more. I got 2 of the 4. I actually got 3 of the 4 favorites, but I do have one of the wild card teams. You have it completely different. You got all 4. You got all 4 wild card teams. So and then the question is, if what happens, what you say is going to happen, is there a question where is this by a disadvantage?
Yeah, I think it's tough because like the teams that do in the division get the bye, they do get to set up their rotation, and that could help them out. Like the Yankees are going to have Garrett Cole in a game 4, if need be tomorrow. But it's also like right now with the Mets and Padres, like they both got in as wildcard teams for how hot they've been the last month. It's like, they play those couple games in the wild card to kind of, they don't take 6 days off. Like the baseball teams they're not, the most you're off is Sunday to Friday from during the All-Star, Monday to Thursday, and during the All-Star break. Like you're not off for 6 days like these teams that face a bye do. So, and again, it's all about like, being in a routine during baseball, for all those guys, and you do take them out of routine. So I would think it can be advantage, but of late, yeah, it hasn't. But some of it is like, for the Dodgers example, they don't have any arms left, and that's a reason why they could lose a series. And like the Phillies were 34-35 the second half of the year. Like they have not played well. I know they got a bye, but they haven't played well the last like 90 games or so.
Yeah, so it'll be an interesting topic of debate if things go the way you think they're going to go. So that'll be very interesting to talk about if that happens. But we got the biggest week of the college football season coming up with some huge matchups. But before we talk about that, we're going to hear from our friends at JPEG Financial and Shamrock Home Inspections.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? How often are you thinking about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies in the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident in your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website and give us a call at 860-430-5397. Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services Advisors, Inc. JPEX Financial Group, LLC is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. JPEX Financial Group is located at 78 Eastern Boulevard, Glastonbury, Connecticut. There's no bigger investment than home ownership. And to make sure the house is up to your standards, you need a professional to look it over. Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections is a licensed home inspector and a member of the Connecticut Association of Home Inspectors. Brian was a contractor for over 15 years, so he knows how homes should be constructed and how mechanicals should work.
What makes me a good home inspector was the 20 years that I was a home improvement person, doing all the different repairs that I have done and what other people have done wrong that I had to go out and fix. So I have a pretty quick eye on seeing what's right and what's wrong. Before you move, call Shamrock Home Inspections.
Before you make the biggest investment of your life, call Brian Flanagan from Shamrock Home Inspections at 860-268-2566 or visit shamrockhomeinspectionct.com.
Alrighty, we got the biggest week of college football this season, and it all starts with a big matchup in the Big Ten Saturday night as the undefeated number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes take on the number 3 Oregon Ducks, and I think this is going to be an outstanding game between these two teams. It's going to be up and down. I think Junkin's going to have a good game on the ground. I think Will Howard's going to play well, but I think the difference in the game is going to be Dillon Gabriel. I think Dillon Gabriel has an excellent game, and that's why I'm going Oregon here. That is why I am going Oregon here. I'm going to Oregon. I think they're going to pull. I know they're a road favorite, but I got them pulling the upset. Ryan Day has struggled in big games, and I think he continues to do so. And I got Oregon here. I got Oregon beating Ohio State 31-28. But Justin, can the Buckeyes put themselves in a great position to get to the Big Ten championship game?
Yeah, I'm taking Ohio State here 20-23. I don't want to with Oregon, it feels like they haven't hit, I don't know if their offense can hit the full potential it did last year. I just think Bo Nix has run that offense better than Dillon Gabriel has. Last 2 weeks, he's thrown 3 interceptions in the red zone. That's not going to cut it. And I know Ohio State hasn't played anybody, but I really think their defense is one of the better ones in the country. I do think Will Howard plays well enough in this one. I know Autzon's a tough place to go into and win. Coach Ryan Day hasn't been great in big games. But I do think, this Ohio State defense makes a difference. And I do think Will Howard plays well enough. They run the ball well enough in this one. I do think the Buckeyes on the road get a big win against the Ducks.
The big question is, both these teams are both these teams could very easily make the Big Ten championship game. Both these teams very easily can make the playoff. But the big question is, which one of these teams needs this win more? And I think it's pretty obvious it's Oregon. It's Oregon because they're at home, number 1. And number 2, I think their schedule's a little bit more difficult. Michigan's not as good this year. They still got to trip out to Ann Arbor. They still got to trip out to Madison. And you look at Ohio State. Yes, they go to State College, but they're going to host Michigan in the Ohio State-Michigan game this year. So I think it's going to be. I think it's Oregon. I think it's Oregon. I think it's pretty obvious. It's going to be Oregon. I think it's Oregon. And I think it's obvious. But Justin, who do you think needs this game more?
I'm with you. I think it's the Ducks because if they do somehow lose by 2 touchdowns, they're looking at 10-2 and maybe, they could be 10-2 and maybe they get left out because it's not an impressive resume. I know the Boise State win is going to look it's going to look pretty good on the resume, but outside of that, it's not going to look pretty. So they don't play well at home and lose by 2 touchdowns to the Buckeyes. They lose another game. Yeah, maybe Oregon's kind of 11, 12 seed, maybe even looking the outside in maybe.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, they lose 2. They definitely. Yeah, that's definitely why I think that Oregon. Yeah, they need it more because they could stumble. They could get beat at Wisconsin. They could get beat at Michigan. So yeah, they could stumble. I wouldn't be shocked if they still because yeah, as you said it, Dylan Gabriel hasn't ran the offense as well as Bo Nix has this year, and that's very true. So yeah, I could see that happening. That's why I think we both agree that Oregon needs this one more.
Yeah, absolutely. Gabriel just hasn't played as well this year as Nix has. Some of the offensive line early on, they missed a lot pieces. They're starting to get trickle back in, but yeah, I'm just not a huge Dylan Gabriel fan either. And the wide receivers, besides Tez Johnson, really haven't looked like difference makers. Like I thought Evan Stewart was the A&M transfer. He really hasn't. So I think too, like Oregon, I thought they'd be right there as the third best team in the country. They're kind of playing like a top 10-ish team, but like not a top 5. So, yeah, Oregon definitely needs this one at home.
They definitely do. They definitely do. And the last thing we'll talk about for this game is, are we going to see this matchup in the Big Ten championship game? And I think we do. I think we do because I think maybe Oregon drops one to Michigan. I think because I picked Oregon in this game. I think Penn State beats Ohio State. So I think Oregon finishes, undefeated or 11-1. I think Ohio State finishes 11-1. So I do think we see this matchup in the Big Ten title game.
I really want to say Indiana. I really do.
Wow. Yeah, they're undefeated. You're very high. You're very high on them for some. You're high on them being undefeated.
They're Kurt Cignetti, man.
Oh, really?
What he said press conference, if you don't know my name, look me up. I'm a winner.
Ooh, wow,
that's all he does is win. Very impressed with what he's done throughout. I want to say Indiana, but I do think Ohio State gets there, and I do think Oregon does find a way to get there because I do think they'll knock off Michigan. So I do think we'll see this rematch, which pretty much everybody thought before the year Oregon and Ohio State would be playing for the title.
Yeah, I can see it as well. Now, staying in the Big Ten, big game for number 4 Penn State as they travel to USC, who lost at Minnesota last week. USC's lost 2 games at Michigan, at Minnesota. USC, to me, they're good quarterback. They're a little bit soft for Big Ten football. They're a little soft. I think Penn State's going to prove that they're going to run the ball over them with Katron Allen, Nicholas Singleton. Aller's going to play well. Miller Moss, I think he plays a good game, but not good enough. I think it comes down to the end where Penn State's defense makes a play. And I got Penn State here. I got Penn State winning 34-27 to remain undefeated.
Yeah, I got the Nittany Lions here as well, 20-21. Yeah, USC they don't have the bodies yet. Bear Alexander, their best D tackle, redshirting now, not great. And Genty, their best middle linebacker, got some concussion-ish problems and does not. I don't think he's going to come back now this year. It sounds like, listen to Lincoln Riley. James Franklin was surprised last week that Singletary did not play. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if he's playing this week. So who knows there? But I do think, if he doesn't, I think Allen has a pretty good game on the ground. I do think Drew Allen plays well enough. And yeah, I think up front, Penn State's going to be the better team. USC just doesn't have the bodies, and their offense right now is trying to figure some things out on that side of the ball. The Trojans are. So I'm going to take Penn State on the road to get the win 20-21.
We got a big game in the SEC on Saturday night as Ole Miss takes on LSU. So we got a big game there. Both teams with 1 loss. You could argue this might be a playoff game, seeing their schedules that down the road. I think this is a close competitive game. But as you said after the Kentucky loss to Ole Miss, I could see Ole Miss going 9-3. I can too. That's why I'm going with the upset. I think Garrett Nussmeier plays a good game. I think both him and Dart play a good game. And I think Nussmeier and I think the home field advantage takes LSU over the top here. And that's why I got LSU here. I got LSU in the upset, 30-27 over Ole Miss. But Justin, can Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss stay in this playoff race?
I've been going back and forth in this game all week. I don't trust Brian Kelly in a big spot, but I don't trust Lane Kiffin. But because of the stat since Nick Saban, got to LSU in 2000, LSU's played 123 night games. They're 108-15.
Wow.
So
a lot of those losses are probably to Alabama.
I think at least 3 or 4, I'd say, probably my guess. So So yeah, so I am going to take LSU, even though I worry about their secondary big time in this one, where Lane can't scheme some things up. But I'm actually, as I talk, I'm changing. I'm going to take Ole Miss.
Oh, you're changing! Wow.
Yeah, I'm thinking as I'm talking here. I do not like LSU's secondary. They can get pressure on the quarterback, but I don't think their secondary can cover long enough. And I do think Lane does a pretty good job of scheming guys open. Trey Harris, one of the Ole Miss wide receivers, is banged up last week. He might play. The only, another reason why I somewhat worry about Ole Miss is this is their seventh game in a row, second, back-to-back road games, and LSU's coming off a bye. That also does worry me, but I'll take Ole Miss 34-27. But again, I'm going back and forth. I could see anything could happen in this game.
Is this an elimination game for both these two teams? I think it is. I think the loser of this game has no shot at making the playoffs. Because looking at the schedules, LSU still got to play Alabama and Texas A&M, and you look at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is still got to play Georgia. So I think the loser of this game definitely misses out on the postseason because even though there's 12 teams, 9-3 isn't going to get it done.
Yeah, I think it totally could be. The interesting thing will be how. The SEC is always held in such high regard that 9-3 might get them in if other things break out. But again, thing with Ole Miss though is 9-3. I don't know if they have the cliche to get in. Lane Kiffin might help that just because he's Lane Kiffin. But yeah, and for LSU, they need it as well because A&M's playing really well right now, and Alabama at home is gonna be a tough one. That will be an absolute shootout. Those two defenses. So yeah, this is definitely could be an elimination game for both teams.
Yeah, I could definitely see this being an elimination game for both. But we got another SEC matchup. It's weird to say this because it's the Red River rivalry between Texas and Oklahoma. And I think in this game, I think Texas wins it. I think they win it by a couple scores. I just don't think Oklahoma's going to keep up with Quentin Ewers will be back this week. They don't keep up with that Texas offense. I got Texas staying undefeated and winning this game. But can the Sooners hand the Longhorns their first loss of the year in the Red River rivalry?
I don't think so. I got the Longhorns 27-20. This game's always wild and it's always close. Like 9 of the last 10 meetings that they played in the Cotton Bowl, so excluding the Big 12 championship game they played in 18, it's been one-score games. These two teams, it's always like a high variance game. OU's offensive line's been made up. All year. It's not great. They've missed some guys. Wide receiver, they've missed a couple of their top guys as well this year. If Oklahoma could slow this game down, shorten the game, they have a chance. But I just don't know how many points this Oklahoma offense can muster. But this game's always one score. So Brent Venables outcoached Steve Sarkisian last year in that one. And the Oklahoma comeback there late in that game. Stark's done a good job this year. The one worry why I didn't pick them to get to the playoffs is I just don't – they play a lot of close games last year, and they tend to – be on the wrong side of a couple of those. So wouldn't be shocked though OU somehow pulls it out like they did in 96 where they were a 20-point dog in one in OT. But I do think Texas gets payback from last year.
SEC matchup, a noon game in Alabama. Alabama trying to rebound from that awful loss to Vanderbilt, and I think they do. I think they rebound in this game. You don't want to be South Carolina this week. I think South Carolina gets blown out. I think Jalen Milroy has a huge day, throws a couple touchdown passes, and I got Bama cruising 41-17 over the Gamecocks. But could somehow South Carolina force Bama? Could South Carolina get Bama to drop their second in a row?
Oh, if South Carolina somehow does that, the state of Alabama. So I would love to be down there with because they cannot handle a loss down there. A lot of angry people right now. The one thing about Saban is, man, that guy never had a letdown game.
That was a major. I know Vanderbilt's better, but that was a major letdown game on Saturday.
Yeah, 22 for 26 from Diego Pavia. That was ugly from Alabama. And I know the board set up doing Saban's rat poison. He did the mouse traps, but it did not work last week.
Oh, not at all.
No. And Sellers, the South Carolina quarterback, played last week, but he did not look healthy. And South Carolina's offense right now is not great. So I do think Bama wins this game 38-20. I do think they bounce back, play better. But but man, they somehow could lose this game at State Alabama. It'd be fun to be on the outside on Monday.
Yeah. It would not be good if they lose this game. So we got a matchup in the ACC between Clemson and Wake Forest, and I think just like against Florida State, Clemson cruises here because I think their offense is the best it's been in a while. I think this might be the best Clemson offense since Trevor Lawrence's last year in 2021. I think the offense has opened things up a little bit. Now again, it's like we say, Dabble's got to start using the transfer portal, but I think Clemson wins it handily. I got Clemson 30-13, but can Wake pull off the big upset at home this week?
I don't think so. I like Dave Clawson, and man, in the NIL era, Wake Forest, they don't have the NIL. They can't really take transfers, because their academics say they don't really allow it too much. So Clemson last 4 games, they put up 90 points in the first quarter. Like they've gone off the really hot starts, and this is a Wake Forest team that defensively is not very good. So I expect Kate Klubnik to continue to roll in this one. And Hank Bachmeier for Wake Forest is, he's protected the football. He used to be not great at that. He's done a little bit better job this year. Wake Forest offense okay, but if their defense just can't stop anybody, and Wake will be up at the rent next week, and even UConn I think should be able to put up some points. That Nick Evers is back at QB for UConn, so Wake Forest even one of the worst in the country.
Yeah, I could see it, but I could see Clemson winning big this week. Got a matchup in Notre Dame between Stanford and Notre Dame, and I think Notre Dame controls this game, wins it by 3 scores. They're able to run the football. They're able to force Stanford to turn the ball over a couple times. I got Notre Dame here 31-10. Justin, can Stanford pull off the big upset in just like Northern Illinois did in South Bend?
Yeah, I don't think so this week against Notre Dame. For Stanford too, it's only the thing about this is their 3rd trip to the East Coast in 4 weeks. Like NFL teams don't even do that. And again, they're Stanford. Like these kids all go to school.
That's the problem with going to the ACC there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Not the Pac-12 is going to, I would hope they go back, but I don't know if that's very likely. So yeah, and Daniels, Stanford's quarterback, it sounds like he's going to play, but if not, they were running Wildcat last week with Justin Lamson. Like if they're doing that against the Irish defense, I think it's going to be a long day for Stanford, but I just think too, I think Notre Dame wins this thing 34-10. Stanford's pretty good against the run. They're not great against the pass, but I just think 3rd trip 4 weeks. These kids, they're still just kids, and I just think that's a lot to ask for, and I think this could get ugly for Stanford.
We got a matchup in the ACC between Cal and Pitt, and I think this is close. It comes down to the end, but I think Pitt stays undefeated. I got them 24-20 over Cal this week, but could Cal travel to the East Coast and avenge their loss last week to Miami?
I don't think so. That's a tough way to lose last week, and now you got to come to the East Coast. I got Pitt 34-23. Elon Holster, former 5-star quarterback, he was a 5-star at Bama. The staff, one of the writers, Bama writer, when he went in the portal, was like, the staff was like, he can't play. Like they did not think this kid was a big loss, but he's looked really good so far at Pittsburgh. They brought in Cade Bell, the OC from Western Carolina last year, and he brought his leading rusher, Desmond Reed, with him, who's had a really nice year, and one of Pitt's leading receivers, Rappel Williams. And Pittsburgh's offense has looked really, really good. And don't rule them out to win the ACC. They're going to SMU in a couple weeks, and Clemson comes I think in week 12, midway in November, Clemson comes up to Pittsburgh. So that, could be for a spot there in the ACC championship game. So Pitt's rolling right now, and Penn Arduz's defense shows up, and I don't really like Cal's offense. It's not great. They hit a couple of big plays last week against Miami, but I'm not a big Mendoza fan at quarterback.
We got a Big 12 matchup in Provo as Arizona takes, it's weird to say that, Big 12 matchup in Provo as Arizona takes on BYU. I think this is a good game. I think it's close, it's competitive, but I'm going to take the home team here. I'm going to go with the home team 30-24. I think they have BYU's got a better defense. I like McMullen, but I think they got a better defense. But Justin, can Arizona's passing game carry them to an upset win and hand BYU their first loss?
I got the Cougars here as well, 27-21. Nota Fafita hasn't really looked the same this year. He's been very inconsistent, and the whole Arizona team has. And McMillan, if you can limit him, he's got 670 receiving yards. Next best on the team's at like 140. Like if you can slow him down, you got a chance. And I don't think BYU is the 4th best team in the country, but it's way things have broken out. They've played well. I think their defense is really, really stout. I don't love their offense, but I think, again, defensively they play well, and Provo is a tough place to play, and I do think they get it done and win another and continue to stay in the hunt there for the Big 12 title.
All righty, SEC matchup in Knoxville between Florida and Tennessee, and I got Tennessee winning this one big. I think it's it's a bounce back week from their loss to Arkansas. I got Tennessee 38-17 here, and Justin, I assume you got the same.
Yeah, I got the Vols here at 30-20. Obviously the Gators did leave yesterday with that hurricane about going to Florida, so they did get out of there. You got to wonder too, Florida, where their heads are at with all that going on. And the Vols too, like, I think they bounce back. It's a home game in Knoxville. The one thing, man, that Tennessee's missing, if they had, it's like a first or second round wide receiver on this team on the outside, because that's what they're missing. Their defense is really good. I don't think Florida's be able to stop them. I got the Vols here 30-20.
All righty, we got an interesting matchup in Colorado as Kansas State comes in to face the Colorado Buffalo. Both teams coming in at 4-1. A little surprised Colorado's not ranked here. They're 4-1, but they're not ranked. But I do think Kansas State wins the game because I think they're a more physical team than Colorado. It should be a fun, exciting game. But I'm gonna go Kansas State here. I'm gonna go Kansas State 35-28 over Colorado. I think Giddens has a big game on the ground. I'm going Kansas State here, but can Deion lead the Buffaloes to their fourth win in a row? And if they win this one, they're definitely a top 25 team.
Yeah, the two teams up front of them that should be in the polls are the Army and Navy. The AP poll, the voters there are disrespecting our troops. Those two, they could throw the ball this year. I can't wait for that game. That's gonna be they could play back-to-back weeks for the American title. But I think Kansas State just runs all over Colorado. Again, that was an impressive win for Colorado going to UCF, but then UCF's not as good as I think people thought. I thought they would be pretty good this year, and then they get blown out to Florida last week. I think Dylan Edwards, Gideon's in the backfield. I just think Kansas State runs all over Colorado, and Shiloh Sanders going to be back. I thought the defense was better without him. He gets beat a lot because they love to play man coverage. And that's the other thing. Avery Johnson, a scrambler, man coverage. I think Avery Johnson could have a huge game on the ground. So I think Colorado put some points, but they win too. Travis Hunter and Ashton Jency, the Boise running back, they should be 1-2 for the Heisman. I just don't know if Hunter can keep playing 120 snaps a game. In altitude too. That's impossible to task for him.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Should be an interesting game at Colorado. Should be an exciting game. They're always exciting at Colorado. You can count on that. That Baylor game a couple of weeks ago. Those Colorado games are always exciting. They're definitely exciting. So we got another Big 12 matchup. Undefeated Iowa State against West Virginia. And I think West Virginia doesn't score enough. I got Iowa State here 23-20.
Yeah, I got Iowa State. Yeah, actually gets against 31-21 here. Iowa State lost a couple guys during that game on defense, but sounds like they're going to be able to give it a go this week. Iowa State played Baylor and Houston, probably the worst two teams in the conference. So I think we're really going to learn something here about the Cyclones and their offense. And West Virginia's defense has played really well against Oklahoma State, but that team might have quit on Gundy, which is very surprising. Thought that contender for the Big 12 this year. But I think Iowa State on the road in Morgantown's a tough place to play. But I do think Iowa State's offense gets out of there. I do think they play well. Rocco Beck plays well, and they do have a good running attack again.
All righty, we got another Big 12 matchup between Utah and Arizona State. I think this is, again, a competitive game, but I'm going Utah here 31-20 over the Sun Devils.
I have no idea if Cam Rising's playing or not. I'm anticipating he's not. And I have Utah 17-13. So be Isaac Wilson, Zach's younger brother, who's the freshman. He's not very good yet. And I think this is Kenny Dillon has done a really nice job with Arizona State this year. I thought they were like a 3-4 win team. Sam Levette's played pretty well, and they have a really good running back in Camp Scatterborough with the Sacramento State transfer. I think if Arizona State could try to just shorten this game, defense makes a play or two, even at kick, it's still going to be over like 100 or over 90 degrees. So Utah's not used to that. Like if Arizona State can be on the field for 40 minutes and wear down that Utah defense, maybe they can come out of here with a win. But I do think the Utes go on the road and get a win. But if Cam Rising doesn't come back, really worry about the potential here of this Utah team.
Yes, and if it doesn't come back, I don't think Utah will win the Big 12. But we'll wrap up the show talking about the WNBA Finals between the Lynx and Liberty. We'll quickly talk about this, and I got the Liberty here. I got the Liberty winning it with their 6th trip to the finals since the inception of the league in 1997. I got the Liberty here. I got the Liberty beating the Lynx in 4 here. I just think they're the more talented team with UNESCO and Stewart, and I just think they have more experience.
Yeah, I got Liberty here in 4 as well. It's teams that's hungry, wants it this year. Nescu's played pretty well. Obviously, Brianna Stewart's been unbelievable. She's, might win another MVP this year. So I like the way they're playing, but, the Lynx could be a tough out because they are one of the best, or they are the best 3-point shooting team in the WNBA, and should be a great matchup inside, Stewart versus Collier, two former
former UConn players, both on the last national championship team in 2016.
Yeah, crazy. It's been that long since they've won one, but that'll be a fun matchup. 2 of the best players in the sport, so should be fun. But I'm with you. I think Liberty closes this thing out in 4 games.
Yes, I think the Liberty win their first WNBA title. So that's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about week 7 of the NFL season, the league championship series in baseball, and the WNBA finals. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All 4 Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so much more by visiting clovercrestmedia.com.